even recording my video, actually. I love you. Oof, God, I haven't done this in so long. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is my first video after restarting. Today is just going to be me talking about every book I read in February. Right now, I am in my sister's bedroom. She is 19 because I'm staying with my mom for now. So this is her bedroom. This is not going to be what my setup looks like This isn't going to be what my setup looks like every video that I make. I actually should be going home soon to my library where I can do my videos there. But let's just get right into it. I feel like I've explained way too much information already. So in the month of February, I have read 8 books and I've listened to 1 audiobook. But it was a relatively good month for me, I believe. I don't think I had anything less than 3 stars. The only thing that had 3 stars was the audiobook. The first book that I read for the month of February was actually God of Malice by Rena Kent, and I don't have the physical copy. Actually, I don't have the physical copy of any of these books yet because that's a different story. But I did read them all on my Kindle. If you don't know, God of Malice follows Killian Carson and Glendon King, and it's the first book in the Legacy of Gods series. It is a dark romance, and essentially these 2 students are at opposite colleges. One is an American college funded by the mafia, and the other one is, I can't remember the names of the colleges off the top of my head, but the other one is just a United Kingdom college where Gwendolyn attends. Gwendolyn's Gwendolyn's friend ultimately takes his own life. That's not a spoiler, but it's also not, I don't think that's in the synopsis either, but it's definitely not a spoiler. So Gwendolyn's friend takes his own life at a cliff. They had planned to do it together, but they didn't because she didn't. And Killian instantly becomes like obsessed with her. He gives stalker, he gives obsessed, he gives touch her and I'll kill you. He gives everything that I love in a dark romance. They meet on a cliff, and I don't want to give too much away, but she wants nothing to do with this man. But he is, I don't know, he's just so good. I did give God of Malice 4.75 stars. The only reason that it wasn't a 5-star for me was because the ending, I wanted more. And also there were like chapters that were from the parents' point of views, and I didn't enjoy that. I thought that it was unnecessary. Otherwise it would have been a 5 stars. Actually, at first I think I gave it like a 4 or a 4, yeah, a 4 or a 4.5, but I couldn't stop thinking about Killian, so I went back and I gave him a 4.75 because he's just and I like I said, I don't want to give too much away. Like, if you don't know anything about the Legacy of Gods series and it's your first time delving into that world, I think that you should go in as blind as possible. Definitely read the triggers, but I still think you should go in as blind as possible because I kind of did that and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm about to start the 3rd book and I cannot wait. The second book that I read this month was God of Pain by Rena Kent. It is the 2nd book in the Legacy of Gods series. You meet Creighton King and Annika Volkov in the 1st book. I gave God of Pain 5 stars. I had a little bit of a hard time to begin with, but I love Creighton so much. Like, I enjoyed their relationship so much. It was super cute. She's a ballerina. She's like a perfectionist, super bubbly. He does not speak. He's grumpy. He is rude. He hates people, but he talks to her. And I love that. I love a grumpy sunshine book, especially in a dark romance, because this is also a dark romance. But I will say, if I did not enjoy Annika and Creighton together, I would still rate this book 5 stars, purely because Eli and Creighton, they're brothers, They're so cute. Oh my god, Eli does these cute little chin rubs with Creighton whenever he wants information from Creighton, or like whenever Creighton's like in his head and he doesn't want to speak and Eli's like, what's going on? And he's just like rubs his chin. It's so fucking cute. It is so cute. Monica is American, but she actually attends the university that's not mafia funded because of her brother Jeremy. I don't remember if she talks her dad or Jeremy into letting her go to that school, but it had to be both. It had to be both. So she goes there. She meets the group of girls, including Gwendolyn, and she becomes their roommate. And she has to get permission to move out of her brother's mansion and go there and do that. And so Annika is like determined to get Creighton to speak to her. Again, I don't want to go through too much information, but let me just say, this man volunteers at the animal shelter that she works at. And that's all I'm going to say, because oh my god, I just love it so much. I love Creighton so much more than Killian, which is crazy because I love Killian. His dirty talk so good. He is dark, he is psycho. He's literally, I don't know if he's a psychopath or a sociopath, but he is one of them or both of them. I don't know, and it's so hot. But Creighton, oh my god, Creighton is so good. He's amazing. And like I said, I did rate this one 5 stars, and I have such high hopes for the 3rd book. Sorry that I don't have like a physical book to hold up and show you guys. Next month will be better. The 3rd book that I read this month was actually Haunting Adeline. If you're a dark romance reader, you know exactly what happens during Haunting Adeline. I feel like almost everyone has read this book at this point, especially, like I said, if you love dark romance. Zade Meadows is exactly what I want in a man. He is so hot. He's also gives the touch her and I'll kill you vibe. I mean, he is the touch her and I'll kill you vibe. This man, and this is a spoiler in case you haven't read it, but this man, the way he sees her hooking up with someone else while he's stalking her, cuts the hands off of this man and delivers them to her. Oh my god. Oh my god. So Adeline Riley is an author, and she's at this book signing when Zade Meadows sees her from across the street. He instantly becomes infatuated. This man is in love immediately. He has to have her. Okay, so you know Zade. If you know Zade, you know Zade. He finds out where she lives and he stalks her constantly everywhere. And he's a vigilante on top of that. He hates like government officials. He knows how two-faced they are. It's his job to them. But this is a 5-star reread for me. I will never ever stop loving Zade, okay? Okay, so the first time I read this book last year around November, 2002, around November, I actually almost DNF'd it. It was my first dark romance, and it put me in a reading slump for like 3 months. It was so dark for me because like there's the paranormal subplot, there's her grandma's murder subplot. I mean, there's so many subplots. I mean, there's even fake dating when they meet the guy that Zade is like obsessed with getting rid of, the government dude. I forget his name. He's not important. He's disgusting. I think at first I didn't rate it that well, but then I was like, man, I cannot stop thinking about Zade. And I thought about him for an entire year, reread it in February. Love him. I love him so much. The mirror scene in the mirror maze, that scene, chef's kiss. Let's see, in her little sunroom, you know what I'm talking about. It's chef's kiss. Amazing, honestly, so good. He is so, oh my god, the scene about the mint ice cream. where they go to that party at the governor's. Is he the governor? Is he the mayor? I don't know. Where they go to the party at the dude's house. Oh my God, it's just so good. He's so good. He's so good. So good. 5 stars every time. 5 stars every time. This is the 4th book out of the 8 books that I've read this month. So it is Skin of a Sinner by Avina St. Graves. It's also, okay, so at first I didn't like it because I didn't like the flashbacks that are involved in the story. But the more you go into the flashbacks, the more you realize how important they are to the story. And it's so good. I believe I rated this one a 4.5. I think at first I was going to give it like a 4. But I think I gave it a 4.5. It might have been a 4. I'll put it down in the description what it actually was. But this one follows Romeo no, that's not his name. This book follows Roman Riviera and Isabella. I forgot her last name. Oh my God. Basically Roman and Isabella. Mickey, and she's called Bella. So basically Roman and Isabella meet. I believe she's like 6 and he's like 8, or I think he's 8. 6 and 8. They meet because she's sitting by herself, and she's eating her school lunch, and he doesn't have lunch, and I think she shares it with him, and he's like, he's such a little ass, like he is such a jerk, but he ends up eating half the food, I think, that she gives him. If I remember correctly, I might not. Just read the book, it's amazing. But that's how they first meet. And like after that, he's like super protective over her. Like he is actually literally, touch her and I will kill you. Okay, I've said that a lot, but that's my top in a book. Okay, so Roman and Isabella, they are best friends, like the best of friends. They're both in foster care, in the foster care system. And one summer, I believe she leaves. I think it's for a year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she leaves for a year and she didn't know. And so like they were supposed to meet up every morning before school and she doesn't show, or like every birthday or something like that. I don't know. She doesn't show up and he is devastated, like absolutely devastated. So that year goes by and you know, he's kind of upset, but then she returns. She's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know, like I would have told you if I knew this was happening. He forgives her. And then up until I believe he's like 19 and she's 17, they're the best of friends. He makes some kind of promise that I'm not going to tell you about because it is kind of important, but he makes her a promise and then he ends up breaking this promise, and she's like shattered. Like she wants nothing to do with this man anymore. But she comes downstairs one day and he is killing her foster dad and her foster brother. Now, he's dreamy. He is so dreamy. It's just a good book. Now, I wanted more from the ending. That is a recurring theme with me. Like, endings are good and I like them, but I get so attached to my characters that I always want more. And this one didn't give me everything I wanted. I wanted more of their story. Like I want a second book. It kind of felt a little incomplete, but still so good. And I'm super picky. If there was a second book, it would be a 5-star series. I know for a fact, because I loved Roman. He was just so good. He was so caring. And I know like he kidnaps her at one point. Well, he kidnaps her. I don't see red. Okay, I'm no red for me. 5th book that I've read this month was actually Hooked by Emily McIntyre, and I gave it a 4 stars. Now, I'm gonna be so honest. I know it's a Peter Pan retelling. I think it's Hook and Wendy. However, I listened to the audiobook while I was at work and I did like it. I did give it 4 stars. I just can't remember anything about it. So, if you've read Hooked, you know what it's about. If you liked it, you liked it. If you loved it, you loved it. If you hated it, you hated it. However, I, on the other hand, I liked it. It was a 4 star. It wasn't my favorite. Don't know what it was about. I do know, I believe it's forbidden. This is awful. But if you haven't read it, also go read it. It was good. It was a 4 stars. I wish I could tell you more, but I just can't. And that's that. I also read another book, obviously. I read a book by Effie Campbell. It was my first book ever that I've ever read. It was actually my first time hearing of her. It's called Heart of Wrath. And it's basically, it's a novella. I think it's on my Kindle. I think it was like 125 to 135 pages. It is a demon romance. He is the collector of souls when someone dies, and he is obsessed with her. I believe she almost dies when she's little, and that was like the first time he kind of saw her. He took her dad or something like that, and she saw him, and she's not supposed to see him, but she saw him. Then he's like intrigued by her. The second time that he sees her, it's actually when she was outside of work, I believe, walking home, and he's like collecting a soul from like the alley, and he's like, oh my god, it's her. And she's like, oh my god, it's him. And she's like not as scared as she should be. It just intrigues him even more. So he's like, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna come back and see you. And I think he comes back and sees her like 1 or 2 times. And then she's living with her grandma, and her grandma is super, super, super mean. I'm not going to tell you too much detail, but basically her grandma dies also, and he comes to collect her. He's like talking her through all of this stuff, and I don't remember if they have sex at that point, but he's got 2. He's got 2. I don't understand how 135-page novella can make me feel the way it made me feel. I was in love with him. I loved their relationship. I want more. Like, I want a full-length book of the 2 of them where they are now that I won't tell you about, because it's so, like, I knew it was gonna happen. I could tell it was gonna happen, but it's like something you hope for the entire book, so I'm not going to tell you too much. It was so good. I think I even cried at one point. Like, how does 135 pages do that to you? It was just all around amazing. It was a 5 star. I finally finished I don't know what it's called, the Priest series by Sierra Simone. There's Priest, Sinner, and Saint. I read Saint this time. I had really high hopes for it because it was super relatable for me. However, I gave it a 4 stars, which is still really good. Like, I still really enjoyed the book, but it wasn't my favorite at all. Like, I even almost gave it like a 3.5. But Aiden has given up his, well, I don't want to say he's given up his life. Aiden has decided to become a monk, and Elijah is now someone who like reviews places and stuff like that. I believe he writes about them for like a magazine, like a traveling magazine, I think, or something like that. I don't know, but they are ex-boyfriends. It is forced proximity because Aiden has to show Elijah around the grounds. It's because the monastery makes beer, and that's what Elijah is there for, I believe. It was really cute. I love it. Forbidden Smut is like one of the best. It was really good. It just didn't, like, I didn't cry, which is usually when my books are 5 stars, I cry. I didn't cry during that book, and it just didn't give me a 5-star energy. Like, I thought it was going to be 5 stars, but it was 4. But it was still really good. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I love their relationship. The second book, however, is still the 5-star of the entire series for me. I love Sinner. If you don't read any, please read Sinner, but also read Saint because it was good too. The last book that I read this month was actually Darling Venom. I did rate that book 4.5 stars. I will be buying that for a physical copy. I love it. I'll also be buying Legacy of Gods as a physical copy. I don't know if I've said that, but I love them. I love almost every book I read this month. It was definitely a love-hate relationship with him to begin with because I couldn't stand him. He was such an ass for no reason. I love Tate Marchetti, and I hate saying Marchetti. Like, it should be Marchetti, but I loved his relationship with Charlotte, Charlie, Lottie, whatever you want to call her. I loved the dad's redemption arc. I loved Kellen before everything happened. I still loved Kellen after. I sobbed like a baby during this book. I was sitting by my mom while she was working because she works from home. Tears were just streaming out of my face, and I was like, oh my God, please don't look over at me because you're going to see me and it's going to be so embarrassing. But I was crying like a baby. Basically, Lottie is Kellen's best friend, and they meet on the roof on her birthday, which is Valentine's Day. And they're both contemplating suicide, and she's like, hey, no, actually stop, you shouldn't jump because you have so much to live for. And he's like, well, what are you doing up here then? And she's like, oh, you're right. And she's like, well, maybe actually I don't want to die. And so they decide that every year, at least until graduation, they're going to meet on top of the roof on the exact same day, but they're going to have no contact outside of that because that's his rule. But she ends up breaking this rule a couple times, and he ends up actually committing suicide, which is not, it's not a spoiler, I know for a fact, because if it's not in the synopsis, it's definitely all over TikTok. But I think that, I'm pretty sure that's in the synopsis. She's left alone with no one to talk to about it because her parents have also passed away, which is why she wanted to kill herself when she was 13. Lottie gets a job at this publishing office, I believe, and her boss actually is pregnant, and Tate's a gynecologist. Tate is Kellen's brother. So they meet that way, and I don't want to tell you anything else. I'm not telling you anything else because that would be the plot, but it's so good. Definitely, like, I mean, if you haven't read Darling Venom, like, you need to go read it. I'm about to read My Dark Romeo too, I think. But Darling Venom, A+. Like, it was so good. It was definitely a 4.5 stars. I might bump it up to a 4.75. I don't remember why I didn't give it 5, but I just know I didn't get that feeling. Like, it wasn't a 5-star, but it was good. It was great. It's just so beautiful. Like, I don't even know. My words can't do it justice. My words are actually very confusing right now. I don't know if I want to give it 5 stars. Definitely not. Like, it didn't give me a 5-star feeling, even though I did cry. For my 9th book, technically this month, it was Coming Home by Kennedy Ryan. It is only an audiobook on Audible, I believe. It's not a physical book. I gave it 3 stars. It's super short. It's like 3.5 hours when you have it sped up to 1.5, but it's about this dad whose daughter is in college, and he is an alumni, so he's going to give a speech, but he doesn't agree to it right away because his daughter is like, I think she doesn't want to be like known for him being her dad or something. Like, maybe I can't remember, but I kind of think that she thinks it's like she doesn't really ever want him to participate because he's like this big shot. But he agrees to it on the terms that this girl he knew in college is also going to be attending. And I don't know if she gives a speech or not, but basically they meet again, and he was like in love with her and she was like in love with him, but they never got together. And it's like this second chance kind of romance. I didn't really enjoy it. It was a 3-star for me. It was so good. I would recommend it to someone who likes fluff, but I don't like fluff. I like angst. I like smut. I like dark romance, morally gray men. But it was cute. It was cute. It was a 3-star for me. That was every book I read in the month of February. It was kind of a productive month for me because usually I don't read this much lately anyway because I'm so busy. However, I'm creating this channel to keep myself accountable because I do want to read more books. I have reading goals. I love reading. I love sharing what I read and making friends who like the same stuff, so I hope that's what comes from this. Yeah, that was everything I read this month, and it was a really good month for me. I enjoyed everything I read. Everything was 4 to 5 stars. I believe I only had, I had 3 5-stars, which is pretty freaking good because I only have like 10, if that, in total 5 stars that I've read in the past 3 years. Like, I'm super picky. I'm really weird about my 5 stars, but One of them was a reread, so I wasn't shocked by that 5-star, but God of Pain was such a shock for me because at first I was not going to rate it 5 stars at all. Actually, I was going to rate it much lower than Killian, but then the more it progressed, the more I ended up loving Creighton and Annika. They're so cute, and the way he calls her little purple is so cute, and I hate the color purple, but it's just so freaking cute. Heart of Wrath would be my second favorite book I read this year. It was my first kind of demon romance, and it was so good. It was so cute. It wasn't cute. It was very dark, but oh my god, I want more of them so bad. Like, I literally want an entire series about Constantine and I don't remember her name. I want to say her name is Emma or something, but I'm probably 100% off. My least favorite read this month was definitely Coming Home by Kennedy Ryan. It was still good, and I would definitely recommend it, but it just wasn't for me. I think I'm gonna stick, like, once you go into your dark romance era, you literally do not leave your dark romance era, and I wish I had known this before so I could read more books. But now, like, I'm currently reading a book now that will be in my March wrap up, but it's not my favorite, and it's only because I'm so used to dark romance. I hope you enjoyed this story, and again, I'm sorry that I don't have the physical copies to show you, like if I had this up here, but next month will be a lot better and I'll have physical copies. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this and want to stick around, then please subscribe. You can like, you can comment. I'll definitely reply to all my comments because I'm here for friends. Like I said, all of my social media will be linked down below in the description box as well. I have Twitter, I have Instagram, I do have TikTok, but I can't log into it right now, and it's also driving me crazy. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye.